Herzchen klein ging allein in die weite Welt hinein. Herzchen klein ging allein in die weite Welt hinein. Stock und tut stetig gut, ist ganz wohlgemut. Aber Mutter weint sehr, hat ja nun kein Herzchen mehr. Wünscht ihr Glück, sagt ihr Blick, kehr nur bald zurück.
Hello and welcome to the showcase of another game that I have designed these past few days. It is set in the World War II, and it follows a crew of the lone Panzer tank that got caught behind the enemy lines and now trying to break through them to get back to his friendly forces. So the game is right now strictly solo, but I'm planning probably with some expansion to even make it two-player game. So in this video I'm just gonna explain some of the components we have here, and I'm gonna do a setup, and then after that in the next video I'm gonna do a playthrough to show various aspects of the game. So first of all, we have a crew of the tank, which is represented by these crew cards. Each crew member has 6 main skills used in the game: gunnery, loading, driving, repair, observation, and radio communication. Now, depending which class you are, like this is like a commander of the tank, he's more proficient in observation, of course, that's his main trait. His gunnery and loading is bit lower, but driving, repair, and radio communication is not really his best skills. Now, each of these crew members comes with the 2 cards, and they have different special abilities. I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. And you can choose, or you can take randomly one card from each of the crews. So that's what I'm going to actually do. I'm gonna choose randomly my crew. So this will be my commander. Actually, what I discard we're not going to use, so let's just do like this. So this is my crew, this is my commander, my driver, gunner, loader, and the radio operator, who's also a machine gunner. So as you can see here on the board, let me get a bit closer. We have this little like a miniature of Panzer, which I'm going to use to move over the board. This is the main map. Board is split into the main map. Above is the pursuit track. This is where you start in front of the Soviet forces, because they're trying to catch up and, you know, capture you or destroy you. This is a crew morale track, and here we have a battle minimap where we resolve the battles, and the modules schematics where we have all different types of the modules on the tanks, and this is where you're gonna, you know, resolve if you get any damage during the game. Also, this little module map comes with 6 tokens. You place them depending on the number, and they actually are connected to each of these modules. These are like some special things you can do once per game. So basically, if you do them, you just flip the token, and then that's it. Now I'm gonna talk about that later. Then we have these encounter cards, which are used with the game. Depending on what kind of encounter you have. Tank attacks and infantry attacks are used during the battle resolution, while these air attacks, road encounters, safe zones, and cruise additions are used in some different types of encounters. Enemy targets is actually the deck of cards that you're going to use during a play, and this is a little deck that you're going to decide which cards you want to use to shoot on the other tanks, or and collect some rewards if you are successful to do so. Alright, so also we have lots of tokens. We have these damage tokens that we gonna place on these schematics if we ever get any damage. These damage tokens actually are double-sided, so first you take the damage and then if you manage to repair, you transfer it to the correct module. Basically your module is repaired, but it's not like completely functional, and whenever this happens you also lose some of these tokens. Yeah, I'm gonna explain that. Also we have some stress tokens that will affect skills of our crew. We have some d6 dice, one d10 dice that is used during the tests, and lots of the other various tokens which I'm going to explain what they do during a game. Eagle tokens, bandages, veteran tokens, advantage, rations, fast repair, and aim tokens. This is all the tokens we're going to use during the game. We also have some tank and infantry tokens that I use on the map to follow how is the movement pattern of the tank and enemy infantry. And we have some armor tokens which we're gonna use during setup. Also here on this side we have a wounds, panic, and enemy aim. That's some negative effect tokens that can affect our crew or our tank. And there's a bag of 26 encounter tokens. They are double-sided. On one side is the Soviet flag, and on the other side is actually encounter. This gets randomized. So let's do the setup for the medium game, and then I'm gonna explain a bit about the crew skills. So first thing we need to do is to shuffle all these decks to randomize them a bit. Then, since we're playing a medium game, we're gonna actually start on space 3 in front of the Soviets, so only two spaces in front of them. We're gonna get these armor tokens. Now we have a frontal armor, side armor, and rear armor. They also are double-sided, so I can show actually. On the other side there's an effect that happens if your armor gets damaged. So we're gonna shuffle these and place down. So this is where you place them on the battle minimap. Frontal armor is 14. That's the strength of the armor that enemy tank has to overmatch to, penetrate your tank. Side armors are 12 each. We have 2 of them. And there's the rear armor, that is only 10. So whenever these armors are removed, actually they go here, below is the additional armor that basically the strength that it's easier to penetrate without these tokens. So like for instance side armor is now 12, but when you remove it it's only 10. So it's really easy for enemy to make a penetration from that side. Just imagine it like from this side your armor is cracked a bit, and then that's like one save you have during a game. Now in the medium game we have these tokens. In the hard game you actually have to remove one. You can choose which one, and in the realism mode you don't have any of these tokens. Basically if you get hit it's really bad news. Alright, so since we play medium we have all these armor tokens. We start, as I said, 2 spaces in front of Soviets. Our morale starts on 4 on medium game, and we just need to shuffle these encounter tokens and then decide which of these paths we're gonna follow. So for instance there is a longer path but with one secure safe zone. In safe zones you can heal, get some additional resources and stuff like that. But in the shortest path there is a possibility you will get a token with the safe zone, but there is only 1 out of 26 tokens, so it's a really low possibility, but it can happen. So since I'm gonna play the shorter game, this is also gonna be shorter game because you only have like 8 encounters in the short path and 10 in the long. I'm gonna use the short path, so I'm gonna shuffle this one more, and then you just place these tokens face down whatever you want, filling these little placeholders that represents like locations that you have to pass to get to your salvation. Well, this actually is not your complete salvation, because when you get to this space you have to do one of these final showdowns. The enemy is gonna come at you at waves, and if you pass that, then you actually win the game. Another thing we need to do, I need to get some tokens, starting tokens, which I get. In the medium game I get 3 rations, these tokens. They look like this, like cans of food. They are used to activate special ability of your crew members. So for instance, if you can see here, if I spend 1 rations, I can convert 1 advantage token to 1 veteran token in this case. They are also used to reroll dice, but you can't reroll every dice. Like for instance, with these rations you can only reroll d6 dice. To be able to reroll d10 dice, that is always used during a test, you need one of these eagle tokens. Well, on medium game we don't get any eagle tokens, but we get 3 rations and we get 1 advantage token. That's basically everything that we get, and we get 3 stress tokens. Now this is something that like a penalty to your skills. Since the battle, the story goes, the Battle of Prokhorovka was defeat for Germans, and you actually returning from that battle, and of course you have some battle stress. So we have to place the stress on our crew members. Now you can choose on which one crew member you want to place the stress, but whenever you place the stress you actually have to see randomly which skill is going to be affected. If you check the skills, they actually have a numbers from 1 to 6. So I'm going to do a d6 roll. But first I have to decide on which crew members I want to apply the stress. So I think I'm going to apply one to my radio operator. So let's see. So his crew, skill number 2, which is loading, is going to be affected. Now, every skill that has stress on it is, instead of, you can see values like his loading is 2, with the stress is only 1. So it goes to basically the lower possible number of the skill. So because skill never go to minus or 0, the 1 is the lowest number of the skill. Alright, so my radio operator, he wasn't such a good with loading anyway, although he has this star. You can see on his loading skill there is a star icon, which means instead of applying a fixed number of his skill, which in this case is, well, with the stress it's only 1, I can choose to roll a die if I want to use that skill. But still, even when I roll a die, this stress is gonna apply minus to my dice roll. So for each stress I have a -1 to the dice roll also. So whatever I roll, it's gonna be -1 to the lowest one. Basically, if I roll a 1 with the stress, I'll still going to get, 1. Can't be 0. Alright, so I think I'm gonna apply some stress to my driver. So let's see. So his gunnery skill is gonna be also 1. And last one, tough choice. But I think I'm gonna do to commander. So let's say commander also has some combat stress. So his loading skills also gonna be 1. Well, that's not a big deal because their skills, these skills that they have, is actually not that good anyway. Alright, so now that we apply the stress, I need to explain what this advantage token do. Well, during the battle, before the enemy tank shoots at me, I can spend advantage token and actually shoot before him, basically gaining advantage, reacting before it reacts. Alright, so that would be, I think that's the whole setup for the game. Just shuffle some cards, apply the stress, take the tokens, place your encounters, and you are ready to go. Now, before I go to the actual playthrough, I'm gonna explain some stuff with how the tests are resolved and stuff like that. So, as you can see, whenever there is some kind of a test, it's gonna Well, I can actually show you. Let's do the one air attack card, and I'm gonna reshuffle it. So as you can see, air attacks have a strength of the test, in which case is 14. And then there is a list of skills you can use to add to the D10 roll to try to get equal or higher number than 14 in this case. So whenever you have like 3 icons, this means you can use 3 different crew members to add their skills to the dice roll. So in this case, you can see I can use observation, loading, and driving. So in this, I would probably want to use like observation from my commander because it's 4. It fixes 4. Driving, of course, for my driver, and loading for my loader. So in start, that would give me like 12 already on a D10 roll. So that's a pretty good start. And this is not like a really high demanding skill. Well, in that case, I would roll D10, and together with their 12 and a 5, that's 17 more than 14. I would pass this test without any problems. So now, if for some reason I really roll low, I would, of course, fail the test. You resolve this part here on the card. But if I pass, I resolve the evaded thing. So it says move 1 space on the pursuit track. So I would be in front of the enemy forces. So that's how the tests are conducted, basically for everything in this game. Although some tests gonna give you basically better number of crew members that they can add to the dice roll, while some tests gonna give you lower number of crew members. All right, so let me explain how you win the game and how you lose the game. So to win the game, I just need to pass all of these encounters, because each of these tokens is encounter, and then pass this final showdown when the enemy is going to attack me in waves. If I pass all of that, I'm going to win the game naturally. As long at least one of my crew members is alive. Because yeah, during the game some of them gonna probably could die during the battles with the enemy. Another way I can lose the game is if my morale goes to 1. So if my morale goes all the way to 1, I surrender to enemy. I just don't want to continue anymore, and that's the game over. One more thing, how can I lose the game? If these Soviet forces catch up with me, they either come like on the space where I'm right now, or they pass me. In that case, I'm also captured. Now, if I get to space 14, I can actually win the game even if I don't pass all of these encounters. So it's incentive, if you can, to advance forward as much as you can. And that's basically all the ways I can lose. So either on the pursuit track by morale, or if all my crew members are dead or my tank is destroyed. I can only win if as I said, if I manage to get enough distance between me and Soviet forces, or if I finish the last showdown, if I live to that. Alright, so I'm also going to quickly explain how the round goes. It is actually split into phases. There is a movement phase and counter phase, and then depending on the encounter phase we can have a single card encounter or battle. After battle phase, if we get any damage, we're gonna resolve the maintenance phase. After the maintenance phase, there is a recovery phase when we can remove some of the tokens. And after that, we go to the Soviet advance phase, where we're gonna check how the Soviets gonna advance. They also going to move. And when we finish all those phases, we go into second round, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's basically the simple stuff I explained, but during the playthrough I'm gonna go in details how everything works. So thanks for watching, and expect the video playthrough very soon. Goodbye.